The views and opinions expressed in these historical letters that may contain vernacular used in the World War II era, the post-war era, and the Cold War era do not reflect the views and opinions of any of the individuals involved with this project, including, but not limited to, the podcast's creators. Good morning, Jamie.
Good morning, Allison.
How are you doing today?
I am great. How are you doing?
I have more coffee, so I'm doing well.
I'm going to see you in a few weeks.
We have our state libertarian convention. Yes, we do meet up and do things here in Pennsylvania, the best libertarian state in the country.
I mean, Pennsylvania really is the best libertarian state, I just want to say. I think there is a lot of really awesome libertarians and a lot of people who think they're libertarians, so that's nice.
Yeah. And a lot of people that think they're the best libertarians, and their definition of libertarian is the only definition of libertarian, and then they think everybody else is not a libertarian, and then we just debate and go into Robert's Rules for 8 hours at convention. Hey,
hi, my name is Jamie, and I'm really into that stuff. No, I don't really like to do that, actually. But yeah, so Alice and I are going to be in person, which is my favorite because she is so very far away.
It's so much fun.
So, and we will get to, I'm sure, maybe do some things.
Yeah. Maybe anyway. Go by North Main Street. You can actually house. Maybe we can.
That will be fun. We definitely have to do something.
We'll wave at it. There we go. That'll be good. Yeah.
But today we are on episode 97. And the title of this episode is
He'll Eat Most Anything if it's economical.
That's a great. I wonder who we're talking about. We'll find out.
Yeah.
But as a quick recap from last episode, especially because, well, not quick, that letter was so very, very long. I think it was probably one of the longest that we had ever encountered.
Might be the longest. Yeah.
And then the shortest Chester letter that we've ever.
I am here. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Hello.
Chester.
Mr. Chester. Dr. Chester. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I did not mean to affect his name like that. Yeah. Dr. Chester checked in, which is good. So, but yes, we got like a whole bunch of stuff. And then there was a couple of questions. And one of the major burning questions that I personally have is, does Miss Darst go down to Georgia and give Sweetie and Lou a break from her incessant Darstness? So I'm hoping that, Allison, we're going to be figuring that out today.
We are going to be figuring that out today. Yeah, we're gonna answer that question. And I think if we work hard enough through this podcast, maybe we get Darstness. I like that added to the dictionary.
Darstness.
Yeah, it should be a thing.
It's when you're miserable and you want everybody else to be miserable too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But we did find out too that the neighborhood doesn't think very much either.
Aristocratic poverty. We didn't even comment on that in the last letter. What a nickname. She's the aristocratic poverty. And she's never had it so good. Well, maybe, we're just going to hope that Darst goes away for Christmas. That's the Christmas present Sweetie wants.
General housekeeping. So if you could please like, share, and subscribe to the Love Sweetie podcast on YouTube. Click that bell button to get notifications. Make sure you know when new episodes are dropping. With regards to our audio channels, hey, we're really going up in the numbers of the audio channels. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, there's like an Amazon podcast. I know we appear on that. All of these various forms. Welcome to all those listeners. If you could please click the download, follow, leave a review. You know what to do with the podcast on the audio channels. We appreciate all of that. It helps more people discover this podcast and learn Sweetie's story and the story of the 1950s and how society was back then. That would be great. And then check out our website at www.lovesweetiepodcast.com. There is going to be a picture dropping on the website for this episode. So I just wanted to say we have 3 letters today.
We have 3 letters, which is nice.
Yep.
And they're not like long, giant letters.
Yeah.
They're nice, regular length letters this day.
Mhm.
So, but we are getting into the end. Oh my gosh, we're coming to the end of 1951.
Mhm.
But our first one is simply to Jean and Glenn, and it is from November 30th.
November 30th, 1951. Dear Jean and Glenn, after the long letter I wrote this week, I shall just drop you a note to tell you of the arrival of the rings. Lou was delighted, but they are both much too big and he can't wear them. I'm so sorry that Glenn went to all the trouble and have them useless to Lou. I wonder if Bill might be able to wear one of them and so put it to use. You did a nice job on them, and I'm surely sorry to have you work so hard and then not be able to use them. Shall I send them back? Glenn might be able to wear them. Do you think? I have been wondering if you went hunting and were successful in bagging anything. Papa seems to think the buying the gun and equipment was a real bargain, and I'm glad you were so lucky. I talked to another Navy wife whom I know not very well, and she was just buying hunting socks and wool slacks to wear when she and her husband go to the mountain to hunt deer. I am so afraid that Miss Darst is going to back out on her promised visit to Georgia for Christmas. She seems to be closer each day to deciding to stay at home. They'd better reserve a small room with upholstered walls for me at the Norristown Insane Hospital if she does back out. Today is my day to have the car, and I've laundry and shopping to do, and I'd hoped to go to Jenkintown to do some Christmas shopping, but doubt if I'll be able to get it all done today. Besides, with sinus headache and stopped-up nose, I'm not really too anxious to go. I have too much to do in one day when I get the car. Lou, for some reason or another, doesn't let me have it very often, and the day I do get it, I run around like a chicken nearly decapitated trying to get everything done. We're still in a mess with our painting and sanding floors, etc., but I can see great promise in the rooms already, and so must get busy making drapes over to fit 3 windows where the drapes were intended for just 2. Haven't seen Marguerite and Joe for some time now, but Marguerite expressed great disappointment that they did not get to meet Glenn. I am sorry, too, that we didn't get to go over, for at least a day, but with Lewis in school don't see how we could have. Perhaps it is just as well as Glenn is averse to meeting so many strangers. I know this is a poor substitute for a letter, but I've just got to go, if I'm to get bills paid and shop, etc., before Lewis gets home from school. I am sorry that the rings didn't fit. We do thank Glenn for his kind thoughts, though, and want you both to know we do appreciate them. We'll save them carefully until you tell us what to do with them. Hope someone can use them so they aren't wasted. Love to you both. Sweetie.
What a lovely little letter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I always enjoy seeing like the relationship she has with Marguerite.
Yeah.
It's a shame she's not closer,
Mm-hmm.
because they clearly do get along quite well.
Oh, yeah. We get the shout out as well to a couple of towns where she's going around and getting some Christmas shopping or intending to get some Christmas shopping done. She mentions Norristown, of course, in another context. But that's where Dit is now, remember. So she's got more association, Norristown being the county seat of Montgomery County. She can, if she goes past where Lou is at the base, down 611, the Easton Road towards Philadelphia, and crosses the county line a little further down past Abington is Jenkintown. And I was actually just there last night, so I can tell you it's about 35 minute drive these days from Doylestown. So she's looking to like significantly go to another town further away to do some shopping, her prep work for Christmas. And again, still waiting to make sure that Miss Darst leaves and goes to Georgia for Christmas. Come on, Miss Darst, don't back out of here. Sweetie's really tired.
Yes. You really want to go to Georgia. I bet it's really nice down there.
Sure,
Maybe
it's
just
wonderful.
stay.
Just go. Yeah, how about that? You could stay with Mr. Murphy, with Brower. He's probably brewing things that's going to be amazing.
Georgia, have some peaches, sit in the sun. Yes, but yeah, so that was like nice. It was like, especially after the large letter we had. And then so Glenn and Jean came to visit, obviously, and Glenn must have Glenn made his and Jean's wedding bands.
Yeah.
So, which is really fun because if we remember, Lou's father, wasn't he also like an engraver? Didn't he like work in the jewelry industry?
Yep, he worked for Bailey Banks and Biddle, which is an old jewelry firm in Philadelphia. We're still looking for his book of engravings that he did. But yeah, there's that connection there. Of course, the rings Glenn made were steel. That's why she was interested in getting the steel rings, but didn't fit. But we'll get into some more story about rings in the rest of the season here. There's going to be more details about that coming up. And then we head a few days later into the next letter as we start December 1951.
363 North Main Street, Doylestown, Pennsylvania, December 3rd, 1951. Dear Mama, Papa, Sisters, and Jean and Glenn, well, here 'tis Monday. That in itself is not such a startling revelation, but this particular Monday is the one that marks our 8th wedding anniversary, and that is enough to make it a special day, and so we shall share it through this letter. I do not anticipate any frivolous celebration, not that I wouldn't enjoy something extra special, but Lou is rather inclined to let such things go by without special note, and so another day is gone. Sister has helped me celebrate already in sending her anniversary card, which I thoroughly enjoyed, and do thank you for it. I shall receive no more today, though Jean may send one along in a day or two. The Grahams have forgotten it, and yet they make a big to-do over Marguerite and Joe's. But then they always do, so I don't really mind. I received Papa's letter this morning, too. By now you've received the second long letter, and possibly the small one acknowledging the box of drugs, too. This letter is postmarked the 29th of November, so you see it takes almost 4 days for your letters to get to me. I couldn't help but laugh at your method of procedure for administering the penicillin shot to Louis. Chuckled so that he, Louis, home from school for lunch, insisted that I read it to him. He listened as I read, and then remarked rather soberly, I don't see anything to laugh about in that. It isn't funny. I want to take a few of your remarks and comment on them and ask for further information. You said you didn't feel that the removal of tonsils would correct his colds. Agreed. Anyone can have an acute attack of tonsillitis and still not have bad tonsils. Agreed on that too. But I wonder if the penicillin shots and the aureomycin would not have cured the tonsillitis. It is to be noticed that he did improve with the shots and the aureomycin, but while he does seem to get better, his fever leaves and he resumes school and play. He still complains of a sore throat and often a headache, and sometimes he has a fever and feels bad. I start dosing his again, and as already related, we call the doctor who administers 400,000 units of penicillin, and he does get better quickly, but he never seems to be free of his germ. We arrest it temporarily, but don't seem to kill it entirely. Wouldn't tonsillitis be killed until he caught cold and had another attack of tonsillitis? It seems as though we never do get rid of it. He had a penicillin shot and 10 doses of terramycin as a course treatment, and seemed to be fine for maybe a week, and then he complains of a sore throat again. It isn't a question of lack of medicine, for I've had sulfa and have given it to him in full courses of 7 to 8 doses, 1 tablet every 4 hours, and then when he goes to school, I still dose him with it 1 tablet 3 times a day. As I say, he gets better but not entirely well, and it seems as though we're funneling medicine into him all the time. There's no ribbon on my sulfa bottle, nor on the aspirin bottle either. The ribbons have been worn out and thrown aside. I do not want to have the tonsils out if it isn't necessary. I just don't like to put him through it for the sake of pacifying the school doctor, and I shan't. Though I already told her that if it was to be done, it would be done through the Navy, and she didn't flicker an eyelash. So actually, I doubt if she thought she'd line her pocket with any of my cash. I have, with the aid of a spoon handle, kept pretty good track of his throat and the yellow spots. They remain rather red, and look somewhat swollen to me. Now, I can't swear to the fact that they remain swollen, for I don't know how to compare them with what they ought to be, but they do seem larger than I think they ought to be. I do not want you to get the idea that Louis is a crybaby. I can walk up to him with any kind of medicine, liquid, pill, or nose drops, and say, open up, and he does. You remember how we had to hold him and pry his teeth open with a spoon handle when he was smaller. He'll take anything offered with the exception of the penicillin shot, and he knows he's got to take that too, but the anticipation is as painful as the actual shot. He takes medicine well, and all the doctors so far have commented on his cooperative attitude.
He does not actually complain and sniffle and bawl as you'd think. He just sort of lays around listless and may come to me saying, "It hurts me to swallow this," or "My head hurts right here." I try to be careful not to dwell on his ills and usually say, "Oh, you'll be all right in the morning, but take this medicine anyway." I did wish like the dickens that I'd had some aureomycin when he was sick, though I did have, and ran to get what you'd sent me, a professional sample of the 15 milligram stuff for trench mouth, and then couldn't use it. You seem to think I call the doctor at the drop of a hat. I always give aspirin as soon as I find a fever, and sulfa almost as quickly, but when the temp continues to climb, I grow fearful of a convulsion. He's only had 2, but they remain bugbears just the same. Now, the last time I called the doctor, I discovered that Lewis had a temperature when I put him to bed. Immediately gave him an aspirin and a dose of sulfa, because I had an idea it was still the throat infection. But his temperature continued to climb steadily and quickly, and so then I called the doctor. If you could send me some aureomycin, he had no trouble keeping that down. I believe I'd rather administer it than the penicillin. Though you do me an injustice in saying I couldn't give it. I'm quite sure I could, but I'd just as lief not. It is penicillin that he can't take orally. Sulfa does sometimes nauseate him, but not bad.
So right now, though, here, we remember that it's, I believe that Lewis had a condition that is actually, it's something I've heard of before where when you get a high fever, you get seizures. I think it's called a febrile seizure. I'm not sure, though. However, he did have 2 seizures.
Yeah, early.
When they were in
Norwood.
Hatboro?
I think it was Norwood.
Norwood, when they were in Norwood.
Yeah.
So that was a long time ago. And so she's very concerned whenever he gets a high temperature that he could suffer another one of these seizures. And honestly, I get it. I get it. That had to be so terrifying.
Yeah.
These seizures are not something you really can do anything about, a seizure, and they typically, the children will grow out of it. I have not tried. Obviously, Sweetie did a wonderful job with her son and raised him to be a good man. And he's still here today. Like, she obviously did a great job, He
survived all that sulfa.
That's exactly right. I don't ever give my children medicine for a fever unless it gets to 101. You know what I mean? When it starts to get to a point where they're uncomfortable, because a fever is designed to kill whatever is in your body that's causing the problem. So I wonder if she was really over medicating him when he needed that fever to kill off what was ever causing all the problems
and making him more sick.
Because she was scared. She didn't want to see that, like him on the ground, not being able to do anything for her son. She was really worried about him having another one of them seizures.
And there becomes the question of access. Now, of course, in this episode, like we always do when we're talking about all these medications, we're going to insert this disclaimer here.
Special disclaimer. The medicines and other medical treatments noted in these historical letters from the 1950s are specific to Sweetie's story and might not be recommended today, or are even more regulated than they were so many years ago. As such, none of the medical information contained within these letters is to be construed as medical advice. Talk to your doctor. Thank you for your attention to this message. Now, back to the show.
Woo! There we go. Talk to your doctor. We keep getting more and interesting names for all the things from the 50s.
Such a great job pronouncing these things.
I think they're pronounced a certain way. If someone has a correction, by all means, I like to know when I'm right or wrong. The toughest one for me was the neosynaphrine.
Yeah.
Because that's just too many syllables, to really determine where you need the what is the correct syllable to put on the proper emphasis. That would be excellent.
You know what? From now on, just emphasize a different syllable every time.
Yeah, we'll keep it in.
Every time. The first and the second one, we'll just throw them in there.
Yeah.
Norepinephrine.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was it?
Neosynaphrine. That's the one. That's
neosynaphrine.
Neosynaphrine. Yeah.
Neosynaphrine.
Sounds like a Pokemon. Actually, I just saw like a Facebook post about this somewhere where apparently there's a test. I couldn't tell if this is real or not because I'm gullible to a certain extent with certain things. And apparently there's a test. And if this isn't a test, It should be. Where as a test in like medical school, they give a whole like list of like 20 names, and you have to identify which ones are drugs and which ones are Pokemon. And I love that. I have this thing. I screenshotted that one because I'm like, I think this might be real, and it's kind of perfect. So,
it's so funny. It's like, you don't even need to know any of the medicines as long as you got the Pokemon stuff.
That's it. Yeah, as long as you're really good at Pokemon, you can be like, all right, cool. By deduction, that must be a medicine because it's not one of the 500 or whatever Pokemon are out there now.
Anyway, so, what else did we? Oh, okay. So, so Lewis is sick.
Mm-hmm.
And she's still debating the whole, like, are we taking his tonsils or are we not taking them out?
Mm-hmm.
I just really think the sulfite probably has something to do with it. Oh, can we talk about how she was laughing about her father writing about how to administer the penicillin, and it apparently was real, and Lewis did not think that was funny.
No, this is not funny. This is not comfortable.
It's like,
oh, the anticipation, the worry. Yeah.
That is the worst.
With shots, yeah. All the way, it's not just kids that get really upset about this. So,
well, if anybody was like, "Oh, I love getting shots," I would question that.
Yeah, I'd question
I mean,
that.
but you're right. That's how I am as well. The anticipation of going up to it is like worse than the little tiny needle prick that happens when you're getting your blood taken and you get a shot, and then you get over it. So, man, most of this is about poor Lewis.
Poor little Lewis.
Yeah, but hopefully, moving along, we get some like nice news.
His letters are made right now. He is making some rapid progress now, I think, and he is quite proud of himself. That in itself is an incentive, and he has said he will sit down and print his name to send along to you. I'll try to get it in time for this letter to be picked up on the 6:15 truck tonight. He is enjoying those giant crayons you sent, takes great pains to stain the lines of his color book, and is quite proud of them. I'll try to pick out some of his artwork to send along, but not this time. They are introducing the kids to finger painting now. Ask that each child bring along an apron or dish towel, or something of the like to protect their clothes, as though they anticipated a great splash. I found an old feed sack, bleached fairly white, and made an apron much like the old one Mama has. She'll know what I mean, and I cut the feed sack diagonally, corner to corner, and made an apron, and then let him crayon a design on it, to sort of take away the vast white plainness of it. His little friend Sally admired it longingly, and so I just fixed up the other half of the feed sack and let her color it too. She was delighted, and so was Lewis. Some day I shall go into detail about Sally's folks and family. Her mamma goes with me to PTA meetings regularly, and is a fine person, I think, except for her avid following of the Christian Science Church. She offered to come down and give Lewis a treatment when he was sick, and I am tempted to let her come to satisfy my own curiosity, but wonder if it would be a very kind thing to do, for she is quite sincere. Well, back to the finger painting. I did not get to see the fruits of his efforts, as they made only designs, were not permitted to make whatever they felt like making, and they didn't bring the papers home. However, the little apron was not all covered with paint as I'd anticipated, and so I do not know the outcome, except to say he is anticipating the next time they can try. I understand the art teacher comes only once a week or something like that, and the rest of the time they just color whatever they want. And usually Lewis brings home a house, resembling this one in a great many aspects. But his chimney usually stems at right angles from the roof, and pours great clouds of black smoke into the sky, decorated with many flying birds. Back to the sickness. I could recognize appendicitis, I think, in its fairly early stages, but am not so sure about meningitis. I do have a Merck manual, as stated in the other letter, and I do use it very often. I sent you a small picture of the photographic things, and my other letters gives further information. I also asked Lou to get the micro switches, and he got 2 of them for you that I will send immediately, if you'll write and tell me you want them right now, or I'll hold them with the photographic stuff if you like. I've been trying to get a box ready to send to you of wool pieces, and the photographic stuff, part of the lighter stuff, and so far have put off getting it ready to send. We did get the new car. I'm growing to like it more each time I use it, which isn't too often. I did enjoy driving to the Naval Hospital with Lewis the last time. It handles nicely in heavy city traffic. We do keep it in the garage. You should have seen a picture of it in the movies that Jean and Glenn took. The garage is the left half of the ground floor.
I know it couldn't compare with yours, and it isn't as good a garage as we have at the little house either. But it isn't too bad at that, and we are careful to see that it is put away each night. I agree that it is much easier to start a garaged car, and like you, think the weather is a terrible wear on the finish. Want to tell you that we went to a sale on Saturday. Didn't get anything of particular merit except for a set of 12 china dishes. It was a set that was probably French, but one of the things that made them interesting was that the floral patterns were all different. One plate was decorated with a wreath of violets, one roses, etc. They were not in perfect condition, some of them were chipped and crazed, but Lou bought them for $2.75 for the 12, and we drove right over to a friend of ours and sold them for $5. I came upon some canned goods, and after looking it over, found 10 jars of fruits and tomatoes in each basket, and decided I could pay $1, making them cost 10 cents per can or quart, and still got away pretty cheap. For some reason or other, people shy away from buying somebody else's canned foods. Well, I got them for 75 cents per basket and was pleased. There were peaches, pears, tomatoes, a can or two of green beans, a can of cherries, and a can of rhubarb. I've been buying stuff like that every now and then, and find I've a good stock of winter food in the cellar, and it cost less than if I'd bought the raw stuff and canned it myself. It is all good stuff, too. That is to say, none of it is spoiled. It may not be just what Mama would wind up with if she had the same materials to start with, but under dire threat my family doesn't complain. And so Miss Darst doesn't either. Lou's getting to be as much as skinflint as I am, and he'll eat most anything, if it is economical. It might not be any too good, but if it's cheap, we eat it. We've been having delightful weather, too, lately, and if it lasted from now on until good weather is supposed to begin, I'd not complain a word. The sun has been shining and warm for several days, though today is rather cloudy. It still isn't cold. I ironed this morning, and when Louis left to go to the afternoon session of school, I sat down to write this letter. It is now 2:00, and I've much to accomplish in a brief time, and so we'll stop now. I fear this letter will be of little interest to either Sister or Jean, as it is mostly relating our aches and pains, but it will thank Sister for her nice card, and will answer some of Papa's questions, and will let Jean know we are still on the face of the earth. This prompt reply should be something to keep you and Mama talking for weeks, but I shall not let too much time get by me before writing you again. Be the good Lord willin'. Oh, yes, we went to Sunday school last Sunday, after a dose of nose drops to keep me from being a mouth breather. Hope to continue going now. Love to you all. Sweetie, Lou, and Louis.
There we go.
There it is. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, in the last episode in 96, Sweetie made mention of movies. Like she's been referring to movies. And so we see here, she says, we keep it in the garage. You should have seen a picture in the movies that Jean and Glenn took.
Yeah.
So I was very confused when they were talking about her teacher, but now it's apparent that Jean and Glenn came and they had a movie, the camera, and they were able to take pictures and make some movies. That was so nice. So that other people, they could have them. Sister could see them, Mama and Papa. So yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I wish I could find even just one of these films somewhere. I know it's probably difficult, for a film of that time, if it's not really perfectly preserved for it to have survived. I haven't even come across any of these films or movies, but every now and then across the podcast, we've had, she's borrowing a projector. There's something going on. There's film being sent from Frank and things like that. But that's exactly, what it is. I love this section too. There's so much going on here. She mentions that they've purchased a new car. And I think it was a couple episodes ago, we were like, new. They're never quite, it's never quite a new car, but it's relatively new. And we do have a photograph of the vehicle that was purchased here. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that one up on the screen. There we go.
Methinks that would be used for hauling stuff.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Right?
So.
Like you could get a cab, you could get a gentleman's cabinet, you could get a buffet in the back of that car.
Yeah,
that's what she was driving.
That's what they're driving. My dad has identified this as a 48 Plymouth. That this is that's the Plymouth, of course. Those that model is no longer done. Dad has a 48 Plymouth, so he knows Plymouths really well. So he's like, that's a Plymouth, and he's like, I think it's a 48. It's a variation on that. So for the car fans, there you go. But yeah, this is going to help with hauling, and it's kind of new. It's 51 now, 48. Okay,
that's not bad. That's a good.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's,
yeah.
So. I mean, they made them a little bit different back then too.
Mm-hmm.
A little more. I think the craftsmanship was a little more sturdy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, car. I understand now too. One of the things is about the cars is that they crumple. So in order to protect the people, these cars didn't crumple because they were like protecting the car, but then people get tossed around on the inside. Yeah. So, there is that difference, but they were tough. They were tough cars back then. So this is the car that she took to the car wash and they didn't do a very good job.
This is the car that I think they did.
Let's talk about the garage too. Because it's internal, it's attached.
I think it's part of the barn. I think part of the barn, the lower level of the barn behind the summer kitchen. Yeah.
Yeah, because she's like
the house. Yeah.
What did she say? I just want to get this clear
about the garage. Yeah.
Yeah. She said that it's the first floor. It's on the left.
I think it's the
first
barn.
Floor. But yeah, so they're able to keep their car in a garage, which is nice. Especially for Lou having to get up and like go, and you have the snow on. You don't have to clean it off to go to the base. Especially because his drive is a little bit longer than it was before when they were in Hatboro.
Yep, it's not as convenient.
So, but this is a lovely car. This is really great, and clearly this was so that they could like haul stuff.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, when I saw this, I was like, I wonder why that one was appealing. We know. Yeah, furniture. She loves chairs. This is going to help haul chairs for sure.
You could fit at least 4 chairs in the back of this big boy.
Going to fit in that car. Yep. Absolutely. But yeah, so that's a happy purchase. They're really glad about that. And then of course, the whole part about the canned goods is really, really wonderful. The economical section, we had the cracked eggs. Now we've got, she's purchasing other people's canned food, which some people turn their noses on. She's like, hey, this is great. I'm set for the winter. These are a deal. I mean, a can of something for a dime, which is already a deal back then. So it's unimaginable today, of course.
Oh yeah.
That sounds great. Yeah. So she's getting everything ready. I can see baking coming up. I can see a lot of pie. This sounds like pie filling stuff.
Not with that stove.
Yeah, but right, her oven's not working. Yeah. Still
Yeah, remember she's got some behemoth old thing that she does not like. And she had to go buy cupcakes as a result. But yes, she's definitely she's putting stuff up for the winter.
Yeah.
And she canned. Do you remember when she canned with her mama? And they did like dozens of cans of green beans in one day. So she knows how to preserve food, but she doesn't have the, this is actually better for her because she's not spending money on canning supplies, raising or buying the vegetables, and then also there's the time. Like canning is a day-long project. She just got all of the fruits of that labor.
Oh, nice. I like the pun. That was good. Yep.
I'm funny. She just got all of the fruits of the labor for 10 cents.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like that is a deal any day of the week and twice on Sunday. So speaking of Sunday, she's going back to Sunday school.
Yep. Yeah. Getting her check mark in for that. That will make Dr. Demery very happy because he's probably upset hearing that they have not been going to Sunday school. He wants to make sure that they're getting to that Presbyterian church up at the top of the hill. Speaking about churches, we had the mention of Sally's mom going to the other church. I don't really know much about that church and how things work, but she seems to have some questions. And so we'll just leave it at that. I really just don't know much about it, but questions, I guess, at the time that she would ask, or she hasn't run into it because rural Iowa, maybe that denomination was not out there. So she hasn't encountered that yet. She also talks about the Merck manual. We've talked about this before. Now, early on in the podcast, I decided to grab a copy of the Merck manual. It's in many, many different editions. This is an early edition published in 1940, so it's likely one Dr. Demery would have used, and she has an older one as well. And this is what a Merck manual looks like. It's like your big encyclopedia. Well, not big, but condensed encyclopedia. Very tiny writing in here of ailments and things. Possible ways to be able to diagnose that something's going on, ways to solve the problems. I thought what was really funny from this is when I purchased this, inside were some random documents from the previous owner back in the 40s. So just this morning, I was like, I wonder what these are. And it indicates this doctor was probably in Arizona, because it lists Tucson as the place. And I think he was probably an eye doctor, or at least he did a lot of eye work, because there's like a clipping about eye-related ailments. And then I found, and I had to put on the gloves for this one, this document here. It says eye drops. Again, don't try this at home. Talk to your doctor. But the first ingredients, and I'll put this up on the screen. I did take a picture of it so we can actually see that without me just waving it in the air. Let me bring up that photo so you can see it. If you can read the cursive. Hey kids, if you didn't learn cursive in school, you're gonna have to figure it out before becoming a historian.
Does that say sulfa?
Yeah, it does. Isn't that amazing? There's something listed first, but yeah, it says sulf, which is sulfathiazole is the full name for sulfa. So I think that's sulfa at the top, and then look what's right underneath it is our happy multi-syllable word. There is neosynephrine. Neosynephrine. I even did it again. Yeah. So it's in there too. I think that's boric acid, and then something, and like this is something Dr. Demery would be doing. Remember, we have the short, if you didn't already see it, where my father still has Dr. Demery's zinc oxide solution. And how he says, you have to go find Dr. Demery to get some more, which is going to be really difficult these days, obviously. But yeah, I have a feeling this is concoct your own eye drops, basically, from this doctor, and the elements involved seem to be sulfa and neosynephrine.
And boric acid.
And boric acid. That's delicious.
And it says, I can if you stare at it long enough, it says 1 or 2. So he spelled the word 1 and then wrote the numeral 2. Oh my God, that is such a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah.
1 or 2 drops in eye, something 3 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. Because at first I thought this was a prescription, but I think it's his cheat sheet for putting together eye drops for patients, whoever owned this Merck manual before. And so he just kind of put it there. But I mean, the fact that we just talked about these exact medicines and they're being used in another way in combination with other things is really,
and you
really
had this manual because you purchased it when he first spoke about it, and then he gave her one.
Year and a half, probably.
And you just now looked at those little.
Really thought about it. Yeah. Yeah. So again, talk to your doctor. But this is a historic document that I thought was really cool, and the fact that it mentions some of the drugs that keep getting into Lewis's system right now.
Yes.
So,
well, that was very, very neat. Okay, so are we on to? Wait, was that the end of that letter?
That's the end of that letter.
That was the end of that letter. Okay, well, that was the end of our letter, and we still do have one more today.
Yep.
Nice little letter.
363 North Main Street, Doylestown, Pennsylvania, December 21st, 1951. Dear Mama and Papa and all, if you had not written and stated so flatly that I had not acknowledged receipt of the box of drugs, I would have sworn by all that is holy, and some that isn't, I had written you the day of its arrival that it had arrived safely. I know I did sit down and write you the very day it arrived, for I was so pleased with myself for such prompt acknowledgment. I guess I just fell asleep at the switch and forgot to do the main thing I sat down to write about. I apologize, it was carelessness, but I did write you the very day it arrived. I'm grateful for the stuff. I'm using aureomycin on Lewis right now, as he is having the usual sore throat, cold, and fever. I find, though, that it makes him sick at his stomach enough to vomit, and so must stop and go back to sulfa for a while. I was glad to have the dexedrine, but found that after having been without it for some time, I am more likely to scold unjustly, and so must exert extra caution on that score. Lewis got sick on Tuesday night coughing and with a fever, and so I started in immediately to give aspirin and sulfa, and then when he didn't seem to improve very rapidly, started the aureomycin as directed, and his fever dropped, and he seemed to be all right until last night. He got sick at his stomach and vomited his supper and medicine, and his fever started climbing again. I worried him through the night with regular doses of aspirin and sulfa, and this morning his temperature is down again, while he is coughing a lot more than before, and he is still in bed. I hope I started in with the medicine in time to nip it before it gets further. I noticed something of an asthma wheeze
that he hasn't had before. Wednesday night at 4:30, Lou started his Christmas leave, and instead of enjoying ourselves while Miss Darst is away, he hired a sander, and we sanded the floor of the front room, or reception hall, as Miss Darst calls it. It was something of an undertaking for us amateurs, but we didn't do too badly, I don't think, considering the lack of know-how, and the fact that I spent half my time on the stairs between Louis's room and helping Lou keep the cord out of the way of being sanded in half. We didn't sand it too deep, as it would destroy the patina and mellowness of color. Shall write and tell you how it turns out. Mr. Murphy came on Friday night during the big snowstorm. He went and got the little boy and brought him here to pick up Miss Darst. At first he said he wasn't going to be able to stay for supper, but when they canceled his plane reservations and grounded the planes, he changed his mind. They stayed here for supper and then slept at the hotel, came and got Miss Darst at about 11 o'clock of the 15th, and then went down by train instead. We haven't had any word from any of them since they left, and Miss Darst promised to write as soon as she got there to tell us if she made the trip all right. I wonder if she might have gotten sick, or if she is just another procrastinator. Seems like Murphy's would drop a card, though, doesn't it? We had a terrible snow on Friday afternoon, started at noon and lasted till midnight, and it was the worst snow I've seen since we've lived here in the East. Then, on Tuesday, I believe, it started again, snowed for a while, changed to rain, and rained for quite a while, and then froze, and for the last 2 days the roads have been just like a sheet of ice. Last night it started to rain, and the snow had melted more than you'd think. The roads are clear, and it is not too cold. Such a variety of weather in a week.
Welcome to Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
That is Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I've never been in such a place where the weather is just like everything all at once in a week.
Experience all the seasons in one day.
Mm-hmm.
You could do that in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Where you have to change your outfits at least 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is wrong coat season now in Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. I heard that was like somebody said like it doesn't matter what jacket you pick out.
Yeah,
it's gonna be the
Forget it. There's nothing for it. Yeah.
But let's get right to it. Darst is gone.
She's away for some time in Georgia.
Yay.
Deck the hall.
Yeah, and then sand it.
And you don't get any rest, sweetie, because what happens as soon, of course, Louis is sick, as soon as you're like, oh, I might get a little rest here, Darst is in Georgia, here comes Lou on Christmas leave, I got a sander. Oh my goodness. So now there's all of this dust you can imagine from these floors being sanded by hand, and she's just like, I can't catch a break. I can't.
Although I love how this is what I love, the word patina.
Mm-hmm.
And patina, ooh, just it's like it just invokes this sense of like old things.
Yeah,
you know? Just gets that, and the mellowness. Like, I bet those floors were gorgeous when they were done with them.
Yep.
But they took advantage of. Lou didn't waste any time, and I appreciate that about him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could also see the value in sanding the floor when Darst isn't there, because not only would you get the criticisms of how sanding's supposed to be done from Miss Darst if she was there, tripping over the cord, hazards, no.
Oh, the dust. She probably would steal his watch again.
She's concerned about how pillows are filled, so let alone how a floor is going to be sanded.
Oh, I'm sure her mother had something to say about that.
Yeah, if her mother was around at the time when there were sanders that existed. Which, no. So, like, nope.
Electricity. She's doing everything I can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm really glad. But also, she didn't write like she promised to, and I have a feeling that's probably intentional.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that was done because she knew that it would upset Sweetie, and that is her favorite hobby.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. So Louis is kind of sick again. So, and she's giving him more sulfa.
Sulfa, the unofficial sponsor of this podcast. No, just kidding.
No, just kidding.
If that was still somehow a thing, that I was just the cure-all, we would need to get Sulfa and the Sulfa companies to sponsor this podcast for sure. But again, highly regulated. Sweetie, did you not listen at all to Dr. Roby? Did you just forget everything he told you back in like 46, 47 when you were in Norwood? This is not something that you should just, your dad can just send you unlimited quantities in the mail. And then...
Yeah, she took Dr. Roby's advice and threw it out the window.
I know, for sure. Yeah. Well, he survived. That's all I could say.
Yeah, he's around.
Luz
She
is
did a
still
good
with
job.
us. So
She did a good job.
yeah.
She was good. She was a good mother. But yeah, so like they're sick, but we did get that question answered, which I was concerned about was, whether Miss Darst was going to leave or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, but even though it's not a huge mega letter, we still do have a little bit to go.
Marguerite and Joe are to arrive on Saturday night and be here for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, Christmas Day, but they have to return to New York on Christmas Day, since Marguerite has to go to work on the 26th. Lou returns to work on the 29th, just the day after his birthday. I take this time to wish Sister a very happy birthday. I've been so busy getting Christmas cards ready to send that I forgot to buy her a birthday card. She sent us one, Louis and I an anniversary card too, and so I feel guilty in not returning the kindness, but I do send my very best wishes for that special day. Before, we have always set up our tree on Christmas Eve, as is the custom here, but this year, to sort of indoctrinate Louis, we are setting it up on the day before Christmas, during the day, and let him help trim the tree. He isn't getting much from us this year. I gave him a long lecture about the expense of things, and pointed out that we had to buy what we needed first, and so all presents from Daddy and I were to be practical, and so I took him out and bought shoes and boots which he needed desperately, and a good warm cap with ear flaps to protect his ears. I did buy him boots with cowboy motif out of deference to his pleas, but to be honest, they were also cheaper and probably will last until they are outgrown. Just those few items amounted to a fair-sized sum, and since I gave in and bought the cowboy boots, he said it would be all right, and that he'd leave the other stuff to Santa Claus, and luckily he hasn't asked for very much, and so we are going to dash out to the store for a few minutes to see what we can get for him. I did buy the Cinderella molding set, but am blank as to what else to buy. I know he will receive quite a few things from the Graham side of the house, as they do go in for Christmas in a big way. I must in return buy them gifts. I made sweaters for Elizabeth's 3 kids out of an old knitted suit I bought at a sale for $1.75, and made little Marguerite a pair of corduroy pants out of some goods that was given to me, and I'm wondering if Elizabeth won't think, how cheap can you get? I forgot to say I got Louis a sweater out of the same wool from the knitted suit, and so that makes 4 sweaters for a trifling sum, if anyone cares to ask me. Just the same, I feel more than a little guilty about buying for Lou's family and not for mine own, when they mean as much to me as his do to him. However, I am comforted with the thought that my family does understand such things, and that is a credit to you in itself. I did get ready 2 boxes and sent them express to Jean's address to facilitate distribution. They contain clothes to make over, some wool pieces that I want Mama to look at, and decide if she wants more, or if they are worth sending out. I also sent along some of the photographic stuff that I got at the sale I wrote Daddy about. Sent him those micro-switches he asked about, a negative file, that small motor, the printing frame, and those enlarging masks, and also a gift for Papa that I hope he can wear. If he can't, perhaps he can pass it on to Bill or Glenn, depending on whom they fit. And if he wants more, I shall send them. I hope this Christmas is especially happy for Jean. Seems it should be, and have more meaning than any before. I hope that Mama and Papa are well now, and that Papa will be especially careful during the cold weather. We're to have more by Saturday, and I hope Mama is fine. Sister, your kids and Frank kids will make Christmas for each of you, and of course Florence as well. I hope you all have the best of everything, and much happiness in your respective houses. I hope that the Iowa bunch of you will be together for the day, weather permitting, of course, for I always like to think of you together when we are with the Graham clan. In a way, I share your day with you, and of course, I do hope you'll think of us too. Mama and Papa will, of course, have to be with each of us, as they think of us and as we think of them. I hope the boxes get to you all right, Jean, and that you'll look after them until the folks can come after the stuff. I sort of handed you the trouble, but hope you don't mind. Must stop now, as I've convinced Louis he will be all right here alone for a half-hour, and must go before his courage fails. I doubt if I'll get another letter written before Christmas, so this will have to serve to wish you all the very best of everything, and to send you lots of love to each one from us here. Love to all. Sweetie, Lou, and Louis. Jean, I couldn't spread gifts all the way around, so didn't call them gifts. If Glenn likes the slipper socks I sent to Papa, and will write his size, I'd like to get him some.
I just didn't know what he'd like. Actually, they aren't gifts from a real gift viewpoint, but when we buy for the Grahams, I have to send just a little something to tell you I love you too. Sweetie. Mm-hmm.
That's Christmas for you.
Oh, for sure. I love how she puts that into words at the end, the lead up to the Christmas season.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Yeah.
Yes, it's I mean, they just bought this house.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this has been this year has been very crazy for them.
Yeah.
Because they what was this, like in the summertime they got the house and moved out, and then they had all that stuff they had to deal with, and Miss Darst and getting Lewis to school, and just like this really was probably one of the most chaotic. This has been the most chaotic season of her life, I think, so far that we've been reading.
Probably. I'd say the hardest season is 46. I think that was the hardest year because it was the big move and then Bob.
Mm-hmm.
But that was stressful in a different way. This is stressful in the sense of everything being a different situation, different town, different place, different setting. Lewis in school, it can't be understated how much that is for her. She's used to having him around all the time. He's not. He's walking to school as a 6-year-old by himself and all this other stuff. Yeah, it's an interesting closing of the year. But she leaves it on a positive note. She's like, we'll make do and we'll just persevere with what we have. And, you know, her present is Darst isn't there for the holiday season. Not this one.
That is so true. And you're right. Like, definitely her attitude is way more optimistic. She definitely has an optimistic attitude, and not having Darst there, I'm sure that's really just given a little break from her.
Yeah.
Because she, you know, I think moving in, she didn't have any idea that Mrs. Darst was going to be like this.
No, not to this extent. Yeah.
And that is a huge burden. Like if Miss Darst would be like nice and like, oh, it'd be easy to get along with, it's not.
Yeah.
At all. You know, it's not easy to get along with. And so that right there just makes everything, I think, tougher. But she's like so resourceful. She made like 4 pairs of clothes from one suit. $1.75.
Yep.
Amazing. See, she knows how to get it done.
Yep. Yeah. She does the best with what she has, and she's resourceful as all heck. I think she's far more resourceful than I'll ever be. She knows how to endure in really tough times. And you know, we have that banner always on the website. It was never a simpler time. She's showing people today through these letters, and I think this is one of the big things that people take away when they listen to Sweetie's story is she can do this. She's by herself. Her family is hundreds and like at least 1,000 miles away. She's in a state she didn't grow up in. She's around neighbors she doesn't know. She's raising her son, and her husband's away most of the time at the base, and she's persevering. So I think she just proves how much, you know, that kind of spirit can get through the biggest challenges. Yeah, so it's just...
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's amazing.
She's inspiring. I'm enjoying getting to know her. I'm not enjoying... Actually, yeah, I'm enjoying getting to know Miss Darst.
Yeah.
I'm not suffering it, so it's more fun. But anyway.
But speaking of Miss Darst, hey, heading into the next 2 episodes that we have coming up for people, if they want to get a little teaser, a little spoiler of what's coming. Well, we know this letter ends December 21st, 1951. So if people are wondering what's going to be in the next episode, yes, it is the recap of Christmas 1951, and it is a mega letter. She's going to write one giant letter in early 1952 about Christmas and everything that occurred. And then, speaking of Miss Darst, I've been looking forward to this letter for a while. In episode 99, we have the episode called Miss Darst's Bookshelf. We're going to get a lot more of the backstory about Miss Darst and her family, because Sweetie may or may not sneak into Darst's room and pull out the Darst genealogical books and start doing a little digging of her own the way that we do. And get into some of the... let's just say she's going to spill some tea behind the scenes about the Darst family. So if you're, as Jamie just said, it's kind of a love-hate relationship with Miss Darst. if you're kind of enjoying Darst's storyline in a totally different way from the way we enjoy Sweetie's storyline, you're in for a treat in 2 weeks when we get into that episode. We're going to peel back those layers a little bit more on Mary and Curtis Darst. So I'll just leave that teaser there.
Well, and so with this episode, we bid farewell to 1951. And next week, we'll start 1952 with y'all. See you next week.
Bye.